Hey, Jack, we are overhead. We're picking it up in Shadow Hills. And when you're ready, I can tell you what I know. Cool, I'm Microwave Jack, Burbank PD in pursuit. This is a rental car. It's a minivan. Driving blacked out. It's just got its running lights on. Burglary suspect. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who is joining us online and all of our streaming platforms. I'm Eliana Moreno in News Chopper 4 alongside my pilot James Pollard, and we are over a police pursuit from the Burbank Police Department. And the vehicle that they're following is in the center of my shot, though it's kind of hard to see when it's dark out here through the Tahunga area because that car is all blacked out. You're only seeing the running lights. But the vehicle itself looks like a minivan, and it is a rental car. Now, Burbank police officers believe that the occupants inside the vehicle are wanted in connection with a burglary. Now, it's unclear when that burglary took place or how many people were involved, how many people are in the car, whether the man or a woman behind the wheel, whether there is a man or a woman behind the wheel, rather. But this is a chase, again, that's kicked off in the Burbank area. It made its way northbound on the 5 freeway. We heard about it thanks to our friend PubScan LA on Twitter, so we thank you for that. And I know our assignment desk also got a few calls from our viewers, so we, of course, thank you for letting us know. The chase made its way northbound on the 5 to the eastbound 118 and now to the eastbound 210 freeway, coming into the La Crescenta area. Eventually, the 210 will run into the 2 freeway, which here, really, it only goes south from here. Otherwise, it'll put you into the hills. So at this point, it looks like he's pretty much committed eastbound on the 210 freeway, coming into the Glendale area. Again, Burbank police is in pursuit, but considering that the pursuit is now on the freeway, I wouldn't be surprised if the California Highway Patrol was asked to take over, since they are the police of our freeways here in California. And real quickly, I'm just going to say a few words for our viewers from our sister station, Telemundo. As soon as I'm done, we'll resume our coverage in English. Buenas noches desde el helicóptero, yo soy Eliana Moreno, junto con mi piloto James Pollard. Estamos sobre la autopista 210 en el área de La Crescenta, donde la policía de la ciudad de Burbank está persiguiendo a este vehículo gris en color que ven aquí, porque las autoridades creen que las personas que están adentro de ese vehículo están buscadas en conexión con un robo que ocurrió. Al momento los detalles del robo, son desconocidos, pero esto es una persecución que empezó en Burbank y continuó en la autopista 5 en dirección norte hasta llegar a la autopista 118 en Pacoima, donde el conductor continuó hacia el este y eventualmente llegó a la autopista 210 y continuó yendo hacia el este, y ahora nos encontramos aquí en el área de La Cañada, Flint Ridge, cerca de la autopista 2 en la autopista 210, y basado en lo que estoy viendo se ve que el conductor va a continuar hacia el sur en la autopista 2 aquí en Glendale. Reportando desde el helicóptero, yo soy Eliana Moreno del Mundo 52. Back with you guys here in English. So while I was explaining in Spanish what's going on, the driver made the transition to the 2 freeway. So that's what I was explaining.
To the 2, and indeed, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. That suspect is doing in excess of 90 to 100 miles per hour on the transition road to the 210 freeway. Now heading due south on the 2 freeway. Again, 3 suspects believed to be inside of that van. The crime, burglary. Heading into the Glendale area now, continuing southbound past Chevy Chase on the 2 freeway. CHP now in position to get involved here as we monitor their frequency. They just said it. All right, so you're watching a transition taking place now. Burbank PD indeed preparing to pass this pursuit along to CHP's Altadena office, and that's what's about to happen here. That primary unit right behind him. That primary unit right behind him. Still a Burbank police officer that is about to pull out of this pursuit once CHP takes it over, and the speeds are pushing triple-digit speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour as he makes his way into Glendale. Very light traffic still on the 2 freeway, coming up on the 5, just off the nose. We passed the 134 just a bit ago. Now coming up on the 5 freeway. They just took it over. All right, CHP now in pursuit, taking this pursuit over from Burbank PD. Several units from CHP's Altadena office now in the chase, in hot pursuit of 3 burglary suspects inside of that van with very heavily tinted windows. They said it's a van. It might be a little more of a crossover SUV, but in any event, can't really tell the make of the vehicle from this angle, but it does appear to be heavily tinted, as I mentioned, and very close calls here. Some last-minute maneuvers, maybe intentional, maybe not so much, but certainly in an effort to lose law enforcement there, getting off of the freeway very quickly there, a wild left turn, and now the driving is taking on a different character here, into an apartment complex possibly, or is he underground there? I'm not sure. Looks like they've been able to exit the freeway with him. You see Burbank PD overhead with their helicopter. So CHP on the ground, Burbank PD overhead. And now the suspect has turned around and gotten back on the freeway. He is now back on the 2 freeway, now heading northbound on the 2, back towards Atwater Village. And you have to be, and then those units on the ground have to be now much more concerned about the driver's behavior behind the wheel, seeing some much more erratic driving, some dangerous maneuvers there as he was getting off of the 2 freeway and quickly getting back onto the opposite direction, now off at Newell Street. And we'll see if he tries to get back on the freeway once again or if he takes this pursuit onto surface streets. Onto surface streets now as we... All right. Is that going out? All right. So now we see that he is, as you can see, if you're watching along with us on Facebook Live and ABC7.com, he is now doing a loop through this neighborhood just to the east of the 2 freeway. Not sure if he's looking for an opportunity to get back on the freeway, but nonetheless, he is now in a residential neighborhood, driving still at extremely fast speeds through here. Some fast turns. Thank you. Some more erratic turns up the curve. Okay, up on the curb, crashing into a tree, and the vehicle now coming to a stop at Gale Street and Blake Avenue, and there go the suspects, jumping a fence. Suspects jumping the fence into some private property. Appears to be a private home on the corner of Blake and Gale. 3 suspects running for it, at least 3 by my count. 2 of them crossing the street and running for it as well. Can't tell which one is the driver. We're going to follow these 2 here. You say this is one of these is the driver? Okay, the driver jumped the fence. These 2 are looking for a hiding spot. Now running down Forney Street. Now CHP's helicopter is now overhead as well, taking this over from Burbank PD. And now 3 suspects, at least 3 that we're aware of, splintering in different directions, looking for a spot to hide out after the driver crashed up on the curb and into a tree. There's the night sun. He's pretty close, but I don't think he sees him. Do you see him, Rob? All right. They have all managed to jump into these groups of homes and appear to be hiding out. Was a 2-block run for those 2. they lost steam and are now catching their breath amidst this group of buildings. This is a car yard here and some homes across the street, a tow yard, I should say. So 3 suspects, all splitting up, that we are at least 3, maybe even more than 3, but at least 3. The driver immediately jumping a fence and into some private property. The other 2 went running forward, as you saw a minute ago. And now you see some additional backup moving into position, likely a combination of LAPD and CHP here. So they're now looking for any trace of those suspects. CHP's helicopter circling the area, but that Nissan does not appear to have a good beat on any of those suspects. Hard to say whether they even have enough intel here to put a perimeter together, or if they even have the time or enough resources to set up a containment area, but it does appear that these suspects may very well other nights, two helicopters over on the left, to the right, to the left, right there by the freeway, right there. Right there, you've got it. All right, so some more units pulling up here. That's going to be Riverside Drive, and report of a possible sighting, a suspect sighting in one of these backyards. Unclear whether there's any veracity to that report, but it certainly appears that those suspects may have found their hiding spot. You see officers with their guns drawn, looking in between the homes, in between these property lines, looking through this garage here to see if there's any sign of movement. If this pans out, this would likely be the driver of that van who ran into this area here that we're looking at. This is a combination, once again, of Burbank PD, LAPD, I think, as well, and CHP right there with their guns drawn and those flashlights out. 2 helicopters overhead looking for any sign of those suspects. Burbank PD and California Highway Patrol circling this neighborhood, but they are really scanning the area with no particular signatures to follow. So there's a better than 50-50 shot that at least one or more of these suspects may very well manage to get away here and lose the trail here. But it certainly does not appear that they have enough resources to set up a perimeter. That's it. So these officers now closing in on the corner of Riverside Drive and Forney Street, looking between these homes after a possible suspect sighting in this general vicinity here, possibly in one of these backyards. You saw the driver jump out of the van, hop the fence, and then run through this group of homes. Very dark, very poor lighting back there, but we'll see, again, if this pans out to be the driver of that minivan. In the meantime, 2 other suspects at least still on the run just a couple of blocks away. Officers now making entry to another group of homes, a property right across the street on Forney Street. Again, a combination of CHP and Burbank PD looking for any sign of these suspects. Does not appear that they have a good visual on any of them, but this is certainly the general area where they appear to be hiding out, at least the driver on this side of the street, and then the other 2 just about a block away. So additional backup pulling into the area here. A lot of flashlights, 2 helicopters overhead. Well, you see even more units now pulling in here. If there's any hope of catching any of these guys, they're going to have to do exactly what they're doing here and flood the zone with as many officers as possible. These are all Burbank police officers who have pulled into this neighborhood. Again, we're near Riverside Drive and Forney Street. Blake Avenue right there running down the right side of your screen. 2 of those other suspects running to the right and towards a tow yard. And the driver believed to be in that group of homes right there along Riverside Drive, just a block off of the freeway. No, no, no. Yep. Officers now searching this abandoned home. Some overgrown vegetation. You can see the windows are are wide open. The door is even open, and now these officers looking through the backyard, down the side of the building, certainly provides a great hiding spot. If he did make his way into this particular property, it's a fairly large home too. Air 7 News Desk, you up? Sounds like CHP's in pursuit, Orange County. I think they're switching to the gold. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it's coming in real scratchy. Santa Fe Springs. Copy. Once again, if you're joining us live on avc7.com and Facebook Live, this is the end of a pursuit that started in Burbank. 3 burglary suspects leading Burbank PD and California Highway Patrol up the 5 freeway, down the 2 freeway, or down to the 210 and then down the 2 freeway, all the way down here in the Elysian Valley area, just off of the 5, south of Atwater Village, and you can see they're right along Riverside Drive at Forney Street, where they believe they have a loose containment of an area where they believe the driver may be possibly hiding out. He jumped the fence after crashing up on a curb and into some trees. 3 suspects at least fleeing the vehicle, splintering off in different directions, running for it. 2 of them ran in a different direction altogether, and I don't see many officers over there, but right now a bulk of the attention is focused right here on a group of homes, including that abandoned home at the top right-hand part of your screen, as they try and search for that driver. Again, this is now Burbank PD being assisted by the California Highway Patrol, trying to track down the driver of that minivan. There he is. Look at that. There he is. They've got him running through the back of a home here, just off of Riverside Drive. He's been spotted. The flashlight, that strobe light, zeroing in on him there. I don't know if those officers are able to jump that wall, but now he's running into that original home, I think, not far from where the car came to a stop. And now he's running back into this group of homes, jumping fences and hiding out after being spotted. You saw him crawling there along the perimeter of that home there along Riverside Drive. They were so close, those officers within feet of the suspect, and he immediately caught wind and ran for it in the opposite direction. But now they're in very good position to set up a perimeter and at least contain the driver of the van. Again, I think it's too late probably for the other 2 suspects, but the driver, now a confirmed sighting. Again, about a dozen officers with their guns drawn, moving through these properties after a confirmed sighting with that suspect, just a couple of houses away from where this pursuit came to an end. And it looks like he may be out of steam here. We'll see what we can see here as we try and cruise over this neighborhood, trying to look down there. Very, very dark. Difficult conditions for those officers. A lot of private fencing and gates and walls and all kinds of obstacles to run through if they were trying to catch up with them, but we believe they may have him cornered here. So we'll see how this plays out. This is all happening between Gale and Forney Street off of Riverside Drive. A group of about 6 to 8 homes. And he's kind of hiding out in the middle. Just difficult to see exactly what they are seeing down there. We see lots of flashlights. We see officers surrounding this group of homes, but just unclear whether they have made actual contact with them. Okay. Copy. That makes sense. You on comp too? There he is, over the shed, jumping another wall, and you saw that. Those officers still not able to follow him here, but he's now jumping over another fence into another property, and he's going to come out on. He's going to come out on this side of the street on Blake. I think he's down. I think he's down. No, down. I thought he went down towards that the bottom left. Thought he went down there. Yeah, in there, right where that light's pointing. That's what I saw. You think he's right there? Okay, over the wall. Well, you were right, Rob. That house, yeah, right there, that light. Is that him right there? I can't tell. Yeah, it's very difficult to see with all the shadows and lights shining through this neighborhood here, but appears to be in that property right there that we're focused on. That's going to be right near where this van came to a. Yeah, that's the homeowner. I think he just jumped that fence into the one near the bottom. Looks like another shed back there. No. I think Burbank PD. Which I don't know how it's not. Yeah, I tried, but she never. It's gotta be in here. I'm looking at the cheat sheet he made, but I don't. Let me let it scan all of Bank 6. It should be on Bank 6. You found it? It's weird that he doesn't have it in here. Negative. Yeah, we've got about 50 minutes. Yeah, 5-0. Copy that.
Encounter happening in an alley near Sherman Way and Lewis Avenue, and he was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. The shooting remains under investigation. Straight ahead at 7 o'clock, a warning for drivers in the Inland Empire this weekend, the freeway closure that you'll want to know about. Plus, a Navy lieutenant and SoCal native is serving prison time in Japan. What he's accused of and why so many people are now rallying for his release.
The First Lady in Los Angeles paying a visit to Homeboy Industries, where she met some of the individuals whose lives have been changed because they were given a second chance. I'm Josh Haskell. That story coming up.
Well, once again, thank you for joining us on the web. This is Gil Levis up in Sky 5. We've been covering this pursuit termination here in Elysian Park area. This is off of Riverside Drive and Gale. That's where the pursuit came to an end. If you were watching earlier, our live reporting and streaming on this pursuit, it was a high-speed chase coming out of Burbank. Burbank police went into pursuit of that vehicle there that finally ended up here on the sidewalk crashing because the driver could not make that right-hand turn. Crashed up onto the sidewalk, through some bushes there, and pinned themselves between the fence and a street sign, trapping the 3 to 4 suspects inside that vehicle. Again, burglary suspects out of Burbank. They had to climb out the windows and then scattered through this neighborhood. Now the search is on. There's a large perimeter here. This is off of Gale and Blake. That's Riverside Drive on the right-hand side of your screen where they've shut down the traffic there. And it's a block perimeter, about a dozen homes within this perimeter. Very tight quarters back there, so we're hearing consistent reports of people calling in that live in this particular block of homes, saying that they see someone in their backyard. They think one of the suspects or two of the suspects might be in their backyard at times. So for the CHP, Burbank Police, and the LAPD, they've all joined in here to try to search for 3 to 4 suspects that bailed out of that car. Again, this pursuit started, we picked it up on the 5 freeway through Pacoima, and I'm listening right now. Copy. And they might have someone inside of a garage we're hearing right now. So we're trying to get that for information here. Okay, Elizabeth, I'm listening to Lost Hills Sheriffs, right? Okay, Elizabeth, I heard that yielding, right? Good catch, good catch. Okay, and I'm back with you on the web here. This is Gil Levis up in Sky 5. We're listening to the sheriffs engaging in a traffic stop on a vehicle. That vehicle did yield, so that is over. But this continues to happen here, this perimeter for burglary suspects, 3 to 4 in this neighborhood in Elysian Park off of Riverside Drive and Gale. We were hearing reports of possible one suspect in a garage in this area, but we're waiting to see if we see any activity or any of these officers searching for that suspect. In the meantime, Burbank Police bringing in a couple of canine units along with LAPD, and we'll see if CHP assists the same way. But for the meantime, this neighborhood is locked down. Traffic on Riverside is being diverted here back in the northbound direction there. Yep. Thank you. Cheryl. 2348. All right, so the it looks like the LAPD or a mixture of LAPD and Burbank PD here. They have a canine unit there at this driveway. This is off of Forney. This is a 2300 block of Forney. One street to the south of where the car crashed, and we're looking at this home early on. They believe they have a suspect in one of the back buildings here, maybe a garage or a second home here in the back. And now it sounds like they're going to try to make an approach. Here comes the residents out of the front building there. It looks like 2 adults carrying 2 children. They're rushing them out of harm's way there. Yeah, that's one lady with a child and another one coming in a minute here. A man and a woman with 2 children. Looks like the children were sleeping. That was 23. They believe there's 2 suspects in the back of this property on Forney. They're going to make canine announcements to those suspects to come out before they send the canine in. Do you get a chance, David, to go to the north side of this house? Because they're supposed to be in the back here by this umbrella. There's someone there. Okay, copy that. Thank you. There goes the dog. They just deployed the dog. There's the dog making his way into the back there. And officers making their approach as well. You see the dog just under the roof line here. They're going to make their way back to that back building. It's like a garage. All the way to the side there. You can see the canine there keying in on the doors. There's two separate, it's one structure, but two separate structures inside. They do not connect with the passageways. So they have a glass door and a security door that the dog's been keying on. Two minutes in the teeth. Pictures only? Okay. 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 Go ahead, go ahead. Copy, will do. Okay. Okay. Okay, you want me to call for him, or are you just going to roll him? Okay. Pursuit, and then the evacuation. Okay, thank you. Okay. Mike and Mary Beth, it's a 2-block perimeter here off of Riverside Drive and Gale Street. This is where the pursuit came to an end. Let me zoom in and show you the car that was being pursued crashed up onto the sidewalk, getting pinned between a fence and a street sign. That's when 3 to 4 suspects jumped out of that vehicle and ran into the neighborhood. Now this neighborhood is on lockdown, but let's go to some video from the pursuit that we covered during the chase. It was Burbank police that were in pursuit of burglary suspects out of their city. They were northbound on the 5 freeway, went to the 118, over to the 210, down the 2 freeway, and finally making their way into this neighborhood. Now, they did have a perimeter set up, and they've been getting a lot of prowler calls from the neighbors in this area, but I can tell you that we had some video of some homeowners that had to be evacuated here off of Forney Street, just 1 block over. It was an adult, a male and a female adult with 2 children that looked like they were awakened and pulled out of their homes. Now we're looking at that house right here in our live shot. You can see police in the back property there looking into that property window. The homeowners were saying that there were two suspects that made their way back into that backyard and possibly into that building. But right now, I can tell you that the LAPD, the CHP, and Burbank police are here on scene. They're bringing additional canine units in to do a very thorough search of this neighborhood and search for those 3 to 4 suspects. We last saw the driver and the one of the passengers jump out and run into this carport. That's where we last saw them. The homeowners there came out a short time later. But this area is completely locked down. The search underway for 3 to 4 burglary suspects out of Burbank. Burbank Police, CHP, and LAPD all on scene searching this neighborhood. That's the very latest overhead up in Sky 5. I'll send it back to you in the studio. Thank you. Go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry, you broke up. Repeat. Can you hear me on the regular radio? Oh. Okay, got it. One suspect here in custody. They're walking out one suspect right here in that backyard. Well, success for the police department here. They have at least one suspect being taken out of the backyard. This is Forney Street, the 2300 block, one street over from where the vehicle crashed onto that sidewalk. They have one suspect in custody out of that backyard. The homeowners identified at least 2 suspects that made their way into that backyard. That person is now in custody, and more officers going into that backyard to search for the additional suspect that the homeowners were looking, noticed that went into their backyard. They made entry into that back property there. It looks like a converted garage. They've converted this into 2 separate properties, and it looks like they have at least one suspect now in custody out of that property here on Forney, one street over. Here's the suspect up against the wall being checked by the, it looks like the LAPD officers there. They brought a canine unit in back there, and that canine flushed that suspect out, so they have that one person in custody. And I'm listening to the police talk about the search right now. They're coming out with the canine. The homeowners thought they saw 2 run back there. They do have 1 now in custody, and it looks like, well, the canine just abruptly returned to the backyard here. So we'll see if they find the second suspect back there again, but 1 in custody so far out of the 3 to 4 suspects that were being chased. Here's the suspect being walked towards Riverside Drive right now. Hey, David, can we slide a little closer to that guy? All right, so there's 1 on the curb there at Riverside and Forney. Canine coming out, and the officers there checking the front of the property now. A scary situation for those homeowners, a man and woman with their 2 children having to be evacuated out of that home while police moved in to search the backyard. Now they're going to search the entire property here. 1 in custody, 2 to 3 remaining outstanding right now as police search this area. Do you want us to clear out or stay on scene? I think there's something wrong with your scrambler, because I start to hear you and then you cut out. Okay, let me sign off, David. So 1 in custody, 2 to 3 possibly still outstanding at this point as LAPD, Burbank PD, and the CHP continue to search for burglary suspects. This pursuit coming to an end at Blake Street and Gale, with the suspects crashing their car up onto the sidewalk, getting trapped for a time, and then running off into this neighborhood. If you live in this area, make sure you lock your doors and windows and call the police if you hear anything suspicious. But we're going to end our coverage here over this burglary suspect pursuit that ended here in Elysian Park, and the search continues as we depart. Thanks again for joining us on the web. This is Gil Davis in Sky 5 signing off. Thanks, David. Great job.